And I would say the same probably. Being Doctor Who is much more fun than being me.
It like made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I was like, oh my God, what's she doing there? There's just loads of little bits like that. There's repeated lines.
But actually, actors really are an accumulation of their life and their life's experiences, and also their roles. So that role comes with me, as does Malcolm Tucker or other roles that I've played.
Deja vu. Makes you feel like you've experienced all this before.
You told me the worst thing that ever happened to you. I stopped it.
Jessica, I wondered if I could start with you. This season, obviously, we get to see so much more of the two different versions of Lucy. How do you approach kind of that absolute challenge as an actor? I feel like it's something a bit different for you.
It is, and it was amazing. I took it really seriously. I just sort of thought very carefully about how I could define them. Obviously, there's the visuals, which is very helpful, and makeup and costume department. But in terms of detective inspector, I felt like she was very tough. She's astute, very practical, and not a smiler, but only when she's with Ravi, because that kind of chemistry, she can't escape whatever loop she's in. So, you know, she's really, really tough. And I don't think, you know, that character would believe what was going on. You know, I loved how unaware she was. And then the other Lucy is similar to social worker Lucy, but she's essentially awake. So holding that knowledge in the way that Gideon does in season 1 and trying to keep it to herself. There is more of a thriller aspect to this series, of a spectral feel. So there's like literally a countdown to this horrific thing that's going to happen. And the frazzledness of season 1 Lucy is kind of replaced with pinned up focus, getting the job done. And the relationship between us in season 2 is really different and exciting to play. It's scratchy, grumpy, but kind of bound. But yeah, it was such a challenge and such a joy to really get my teeth into it.
Yeah, and Peter, on that, I feel like we see Gideon unleashed this season. We learn a lot more about him. When playing such a morally grey character like that, how do you get into that mindset? Do you have to empathise with him to an extent?
Yeah, I mean, I think I do empathize. I mean, I think he's actually quite a sympathetic character. Well, in fact, he's a serial killer.
I'd agree, yeah.
Yeah, but he's essentially what's driving is a desire to keep people, ironically, safe. You know, and he's trapped. Essentially, he has knowledge that traps him to a position where he either does nothing, he acts upon this knowledge, and unfortunately, the path that he's chosen is a dangerous one. But yeah, he's great, and it's great to work with Jessica and be outside of, you know, sitting across the table from her in one room. So it was great to actually be out in the open air and do a bit of running around and have some chases and stuff. That was good.
Yeah, and Jessica, you mentioned, I think it was at the season 2 trailer reveal about the Easter eggs that we've got coming up. I mean, to some extent, can fans, you know, be a bit of a detective on their own? Could they potentially figure out what's going on before it happens, judging by those Easter eggs?
Absolutely. I still find things because I'm rewatching it in ADR or just watching it to prep for press, and I'm like, oh, there's an incredible moment. I think it's in episode 1 with Lucy in Doc's office, and it's chilling because the scene is happening, it's playing out very, very, you know, standard kind of brilliant scene, and then it comes back and it's my shot. I'm foreground, but background is a small like 8-year-old child that's just peeping out from behind the curtain, and it's literally just like probably a second, and then the shot goes somewhere else. It like made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I was like, oh my God, what's she doing there? There's just loads of little bits like that. There's repeated lines. There's all the same characters that come back in a completely different context. So you get Phil Dunster's character coming back with a completely different family. He and Lucy aren't together. It's just so much fun for every actor to come back and play the character in a slightly different way.
That little moment that you described, I think, is part of a testament really to the skill and talent of our directors led by Johnny. You know, because one of the, you know, this show really has blossomed because of the direction.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Because to create that sense of unease and these chills and these sudden frights and stuff like that, that's a really skillful and complex kind of task.
Yeah, and he's relentless. Like, he really believes in the scripts, and he's relentless in like picking out those moments more and more. So to the point of like there are parallel camera angles that God, I don't know how he did this, and I'm going to explain it right now, but he just basically frames it exactly the same. And if there's a repeated scene, and he gets the actors to do exactly the same movements, so if you can keep an eye out for that, there's some weird like mirror images all the way through as well. Yeah, it was very well thought about. Yeah,
it's very fascinating to talk to him about it, because it's, you know, he will talk about how if you hang on to a shot a little longer than the audience expects, it kind of disrupts their rhythm, because they're used to things being cut in a certain speed.
Nice.
But if you alter that speed and just have a shot of someone sitting on a sofa, perhaps for 3 seconds longer than they should,
Yeah.
you think, oh, something.
Yeah.
Something odd's going to happen.
Queasy.
It's so effective, and that particular one with the little girl, I had to rewind. It really creeped me out watching that in the dark. Peter, I know, being one of them, a lot of Doctor Who fans obviously come to this show. I wondered if you could tell me a little bit about how that role has changed your life. I wondered if it then opened up more roles for you, potentially like this one, forward in your career.
Doctor Who?
Yeah.
It's great. It's just an incredible experience. It's suddenly you're in the middle of this this fantastical world, surrounded by people who love Doctor Who. I was watching Tom Baker the other night talking about something, and he said that when he was Doctor Who, he would do tons and tons of publicity and stuff, because being Doctor Who was much more fun than being Tom Baker. You know, and I would say the same probably. Being Doctor Who is much more fun than being me. And certainly you're in a very privileged position, because you receive the affection for that character. It is a character, you know, you are. It's not me, and you know, it's a delightful place to be. It would be hard, I think, forever, but you do see the best of people, which is lovely.
Absolutely, really well put. And I love sort of seeing you go on to roles like this, where, you know, there's those little parallels, but it's also so different.
Yeah, there are little overlaps, which is fine. But I think actors are, you know, you have a certain skill. You learn a certain skill about how you look angry or look sad or whatever. But actually, actors really are an accumulation of their life and their life's experiences, and also their roles. So that role comes with me, as does Malcolm Tucker or other roles that I've played, and they're with me because they all have this face. So they do me a favour, as they come and suggest to the audience there's more to me than there actually is.